everyone, welcome to my channel, and what I have for you today is this vintage pumpkin autumn wreath done in watercolor. I did a couple of them, and the one I'm going to show you today is this one right here. It's beginner friendly and pretty easy to do, and you only use 3 watercolors plus some pens. So the colors I'm using are Naples Yellow Red, which is a Van Gogh color. If you don't have Naples Yellow Red, you can make it with a yellow and a little bit of a red and opaque white, because it is a opaque, slightly opaque watercolor. And the next one I'm using is Burnt Sienna and Neutral Tint. So those are the 3 colors that I am using. And then what I'm showing you here is just different colors with those 3 colors that I can make mixed together. So I'm just kind of figuring out what colors I can make out of those 3 colors. Kind of gives me an idea. I do that before I paint. It gives me an idea of what range I can get with those 3 colors. Sometimes it's good to do before you do a painting. And then those are the brushes I used today. A flat brush, a number 12 round brush, a number 4 round brush, and a fan brush. And then I use this pastel chalk pencil in white, and a black marker, and a yellow gel pen. So the first thing I do is I start my background wet on wet. And also, by the way, I am using a watercolor paper by Meeden, just a 7x10 block. So I wet my paper really good, and I start with the Naples Yellow Red first. And like I said, it is an opaque color, so it gives a nice vintage look to your background. So I start with that, and then I do start mixing in just a touch of the neutral tint to that Naples Red. And like I said, if you don't have Naples Yellow Red, you can make your own version of it. So here I'm mixing in the neutral tint, and I'll tell you again, to make your own version of it, a close one would be if you have a warm yellow and a little bit of like a Venetian red. You could probably even use a little bit of like a Winsor red and put a little bit of that, mix those 2 together, and then add some opaque white, like a titanium white, into it, and it'll kind of give you something similar to Naples Yellow Red. Anyway, so here you see I'm just keeping on adding a little bit more of the neutral tint, just to kind of get a kind of a dusty, antique-y look to the background, kind of like a dusty, yellow, almost like a parchment paper look. I'm just adding a little bit more of the Naples Yellow Red. Then you let that dry, and there's the background. So to make the wreath, I just used a masking tape. I'm just using a regular pencil, and then just penciling in the pumpkin, just a basic shape as for your pumpkin. And, you know, like I said, this can be a beginner-friendly watercolor. It's pretty simple shapes. Next, I'm doing the bow on the top. that's it. That's all I do to draw in this painting. So what I do is I just start with just laying down some colors for the wreath. As you can see, I'm just using simple brush strokes. That's my number 12 round brush. And I'm starting with a mixture of the burnt sienna. And then I also drop in a little bit of the Naples Yellow Red in there also. So I'm starting from light to darker, as you'll see. I'm trying to do loose brush strokes here. Then I'm coming in with some burnt sienna, a little bit of a darker value. And then I added a little bit of neutral tint to that burnt sienna mixture. I'll gradually get darker colors as I go. And basically I'm working on wet in some areas. Some areas have dried a little bit, and some are wet on dry. And I added more neutral tint to that mix. Creates a warm, kind of like a warm brown. Then I started the bow, and the bow was just a mixture of burnt sienna. And I will come in later on and add darker colors, a darker mix of colors, but first I just started with the burnt sienna. I'm adding darker, it's just a neutral tint mixture actually, to the wreath, just dropping in. It's probably about a milky mixture of the neutral. In some areas you can see are dry and some are still wet. So just letting the watercolor do its thing. So this is just this part of the painting is pretty loose, as you can see, so it doesn't have to be perfect, because I will come back with my marker pen to add some details to it. Okay, so while that wreath is drying, I wanted to start on the pumpkin, and I did not draw in the pumpkin's face, but you can go ahead and do it. And I started with a light mixture of the neutral tint. Just a simple pumpkin. Tried to kind of keep it like like the classic pumpkin face. You can do anything. Since it was kind of a vintage look, I didn't want to make it like too fancy. I just want to keep it simple. I keep on adding a little bit more of the neutral tint. Just spreading the paint around, and then while that was drying, I went back to the bow and started with a light mix of the neutral tint to add the details to the bow. And that's my number 4 brush I'm using. And then I'm using a thicker mixture of my neutral tint to start adding the details to the pumpkin. Just doing a basic outline. I'm just taking my wet brush, just kind of blending the watercolor there on the top and the bottom, and I'm trying to keep the middle of the pumpkin a little lighter. And a little bit more color to the edges there. Going around the eyes and the mouth with a little bit more of the neutral tint. Then I added just a little bit of burnt sienna to the pumpkin, just a little bit. So now I'm going back to the bow and darkening it up some more, adding another layer of the neutral tint because it was dry. I'm taking my number 4 brush, just adding a little bit more details to the wreath. Some details to the leaves, and I'm using a darker mixture of my neutral tint, adding some dots, some circles, just some interest, a little bit more definition, just bringing out some of the shapes that look like leaves. And then I got some burnt sienna, adding it to the inside of the pumpkin. Now I'm taking my waterproof black marker. It's a pretty fine tip. I think it's a 0.1. And I'm just adding more details to the wreath, just squiggly marks, little blades of kind of dried grass here and there. But I'm trying to keep it loose, as you can see. And then I'm also outlining some shapes of leaves on the wreath, or things that I think might look like a flower. Circles, kind of flower shapes, leaf shapes, but keeping it loose. And this is sped up a little bit, but you can slow it down in the settings if you want to take a longer look at the shapes and what I'm doing with the pen. I just do a quick outline of the bow, and I will have the size of this marker and everything, the colors of my paints in the description of this video. Then I'm taking this yellow gel pen I have. It's like a fluorescent yellow gel pen. And I'm adding this to the inside of the pumpkin. And if you don't have a fluorescent yellow gel pen, you can use like a gouache yellow, or mix some, if you have an acrylic pen would work too. Something that's opaque. Now I have this pastel chalk pencil white, and that's what I'm using to add the details to the bow, and I'll also be adding a little bit to the pumpkin and to the wreath. And it works really nicely against the dark watercolor. And just so you guys know, I will also be having some of these prints for sale in my Etsy shop. Not of this particular pumpkin, but of the other one, if you saw in the beginning of my video. So you can check out my Etsy shop if you like. And the link is in the description of the video. And so I'm adding some, as you can see, some of this to the pumpkin. And of course you have to do this when the pumpkin's dry. And I'm taking my marker and just adding some more detail. And then I forgot to videotape this part, so I'm showing you. I took my pen and I kind of just drew a border around the edge there. Kind of a little bit of a loose border, probably like 5 or 6 lines around the border there. Then I'm taking my fan brush and I dipped it in some of the neutral tint and just doing some light sprinkles. And there it is, all complete. I hope you guys like it. I think it turned out pretty cute. Thanks so much for watching and giving me your time. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you shortly. Bye-bye.